Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS Inform. We are honored to have with us through a Zoom meeting State Representative Shane Lindauer, who represents our area, the WJTS viewing area. State Representative, welcome to the show. It's good to have you. I know that we're through Easter and here we are, almost done with legislation. If you would talk about some bills that you were part of, the telehealth bill and bill number 1111 that recently was signed. Let's talk about those two.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. It's good to be with you again. I appreciate the opportunity. So you just mentioned House Bill 1111 was a bill that I was able to work on early in session. It's really a small bill, honestly, but it actually came to me. The idea came to me from local Commissioner Chad Blessinger, and currently in code. Well, actually, there's actually two parts in code that speak to whether commissioners have to go to road school every year, what's kind of lovingly called, I guess, road school by the commissioners. And one part of code actually had them not having to go every year, and another part of code had them said that they had to go every year. Evidently, our local commissioners were abiding by the part that had them go every year, and were dutifully doing so, and so they every year all three commissioners were attending road school. So Chad thought, Commissioner Blessinger thought that possibly that wasn't the best use of taxpayer money to have them go to a road school every single year. So as I started digging into the issue, I actually found that in Indiana code currently there's a bit of a conflict because, as I said, one section of code doesn't make them go. One section does. So we thought it would be best, number one, to kind of jive the sections of code, and then number two, to give a element of local control back to the commissioners, back to the county executive, as pertaining to, do they need to go to road school every year? And so basically what this says is, if you're a new commissioner coming in, you've got to go to road school within the first or second year of being a newly elected commissioner. And after that, it's really up to the county executive. So again, a couple reasons behind the bill. Like, it's jiving Indiana code, so it's all the same in different titles of code. And then again, allowing a local control and ideally allowing the commissioners to better use taxpayer money in doing so, and how they, if they feel they need to go to road school, kind of a brush up in year 3 or 4 or 5, they can certainly still do that. So that actually has passed both houses. The House and the Senate. Senator Messmer was the sponsor of that bill in the Senate, and so he was gracious enough to get it through the Senate for me, and it was on and signed by the governor this week. So that was the first bill that I've had signed this year. So that's like I said, it was a little bill, but still always feels good to get one across the finish line. So the other bill that you had mentioned is Senate Bill 3, which was one of the Senate's priority bills. Obviously, the lower the number on the bill, usually if it's 1 through 9 in the Senate, or on our side, if it's 1001 through 1009, it's a priority bill. And so their Senate Bill 3 was their telehealth bill. And I had a version in the House that was very similar, some differences, but still kind of going the same direction on the application of telehealth and how we can use that tool. Just for maybe those who don't know, telehealth is in a nutshell, it's just using any kind of technology like what we're doing right now. We're on Zoom right now. Certainly other applications that can do this as well, but in where you could communicate with your doctor or your healthcare provider to access healthcare, right? And this was, like I said, I think I've said before when you and I've talked about this issue, something important to me for rural Indiana, because it allows us in rural parts of the state maybe access to providers that we would have to travel great distances for in other cases, but also when COVID happened, right? And people were somewhat restricted to travel, specifically the elderly, who were really leery about getting out. This tool allowed them to have access to doctors in a way that they didn't before. And so what we're doing is putting some parameters on the use of telehealth, basically saying that doctors or providers still need to make sure that medical records are cared for and treated just like a regular visit. we also say, I've talked to some medical providers. A good friend I have at church here in Jasper was not, frankly, a fan of telehealth. He thinks it's not a good idea. So, there's a provision in there that says that if you feel that way as a medical professional, you don't have to use telehealth. There's different variety of perspectives on, is it a good or useful tool? My position is that should be up to the patient and the medical provider on that one. So there's again provision in there that says nurse practitioner or psychologist or MD, whatever you are, you don't have to use telehealth if you don't feel like that's the best way to do it. So there's a few other provisions in there, but that came over from the Senate to Senate Bill 3. We got that passed out of the House this week. Like I said, I was sponsor on that. And so we'll see now if what the Senate feels, because we did make some changes when it came over from the Senate. And anytime that happens, it has to go back to the Senate, and they'll take a look at the changes we made. And they either agree to those changes and say, yeah, we like what you've done with it, or no, we don't like this. We need to talk about this. So it could go into a negotiation process between myself and the author of the bill from the Senate. So he has not committed to me what he's going to do with that yet. And so that's kind of remains to be seen. So there's maybe a little work needs to be done on that, but it's getting a little closer to the finish line as well. So.
Okay, and then one more question would be a little outlook of maybe a bill that is of interest to people locally, and the budget's coming up, kind of an outlook of what you think is going to happen in the next few weeks. Yeah,
so we are getting close. I think you indicated that at the beginning of our talk here. Just a few more weeks. We've got a couple really kind of cutoffs or deadlines coming up as far as if a bill can even be heard coming up. I think it's this week. We've got our first deadline coming up. So there's a bill that I think that some got some local interest here a few weeks back. It's the constitutional carry bill that allows folks that unless they are a prohibited person, from a felony or something like that they've had, or some breach of law of current laws, that they can carry a firearm without having to go through the permitting process. So that was a bill that passed the House pretty handily earlier in session, and it's gone over to the Senate. And the Senate, there's been a lot of debate. I'm not sure what they're going to do with it over there. And so that'd be a bill that I know, like I said, got a lot of attention through the process and got some attention here locally. So that's certainly one to keep an eye on, I think. And you mentioned the budget bill, right? That's always a big one, and it's in the Senate right now. So of course it passed the House, and that's one that'll continue to get. The Senate has changed it, right? And so as I indicated a little bit ago, the changes they make will have to come back to us in the House, because all of the budget bills originate in the House. So that'll come back to us, and we'll have to rehash it in the House and decide, we like this, we don't like that. And so it's quite a process. It's certainly an interesting process, and a lot of hoops to jump through before a bill becomes law, So that's where we're at. Those are a couple big bills, though, that have gotten a lot of attention that are still kind of in process. So,
well, once again, we appreciate State Representative Shane Lindauer taking time and talking with us. We want to encourage people to contact you if they have questions about things, because we'll see you at different events as events begin to happen again.
Right, absolutely.
It'll be good to see you out in the public as we can get things going. Thank you very much, State Rep.
Yes,
we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. This has been WJTS Inform. I'm Bill Potter, your host. We are local people watching local people.